Sometimes the biggest lessons in life come from the smallest things. Not from books, not from success, but from silence, from stillness, from a flower. This is Leah's story, and it might be yours too. Leah was 17, a topper, a champion, a high achiever. She was always running from one class to another, one test to the next. First in school, first in every exam. But inside, she felt last. She was tired. She couldn't sleep properly. She didn't smile the way she used to. Her mind was always chasing more. One evening, her mother said, "Leah, your summer holidays are here. Go visit your grandma in the village." Leah frowned. Grandma's house? But there's no Wi-Fi, no Netflix, no friends. Her mom smiled. Maybe that's exactly what you need. When Leah arrived at her grandma's house, everything felt slow. No traffic, no phone calls, no schedules. Just the sound of birds, the scent of earth, and the peace of silence. Her grandma hugged her and said, "My little butterfly, you've flown home." Leah laughed. "I think I'm more like a tired bee, Grandma." Grandma smiled. "Well then, it's time this bee learns to rest in the garden." The next morning, Grandma woke her up at 6 a.m. "Let's go meet someone," she said. Still sleepy, Leah followed her to the backyard. There in a corner was a small flower bed. Grandma handed her a tiny watering can. "This is your job now," she said. "Water these flowers every day. Talk to them. Watch them grow." Leah blinked. "That's it? Just water and talk to plants?" Grandma nodded. "Yes, and wait." At first, Leah didn't understand. She just did it because Grandma told her to. Water, clean, sit. Water, clean, sit. But slowly, something began to change. She noticed a tiny bud turning into a flower. She watched a butterfly land softly on a leaf. She felt the sun on her face, and liked it. There were no marks, no trophies, no applause, but she felt something she hadn't in a long time, peace. One evening, Leah turned to her grandma and said, "Grandma, I don't know why, but I feel better, lighter, happier." Grandma smiled and said, "My sweet child, that's because you finally stopped running and started living." Leah looked at her, curious. Grandma continued, "Let me tell you a secret. Life is not a race, it's a garden. You cannot rush it. You can only nurture it." She pointed at the flower bed and said, "The flowers didn't grow because you forced them. They grew because you showed up every day, gave them water, sunlight, and time." Then she gave 3 powerful examples. A farmer plants seeds and waits. He doesn't shout at the soil to grow faster. He trusts the process. And harvest comes. A bird builds its nest one twig at a time. Not in 1 hour, not in 1 day, but with patience and care. And a mother carries a baby for 9 months because life takes time. Because beauty takes time. Then Grandma looked into her eyes and said, "You too are growing. You are not a machine. Water your mind with kindness. Give your soul some sunshine. Remove the weeds of fear, anger, and comparison, and trust your flower will bloom." Leah had tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Grandma," she whispered. "I think I finally understand." Before leaving, Grandma placed a blooming flower in her hand. "You helped this flower grow," she said. "And while doing that, you helped yourself grow, too." Leah smiled. "Next time I feel lost in life, I'll come back to the garden inside me. In a world that rushes for results, remember, true growth takes time. In life, we are taught to move fast, finish quickly, win early. But not everything is meant to happen fast. Some things are meant to grow slowly, with love, with time, with care. You don't need to bloom overnight. You just need to show up, care, and keep going. Like flowers, we all grow at our own pace. Don't compare your journey. Nurture it. Peace doesn't come from speed, but from presence. So if you're tired, stop running. Walk into your own garden. Water your heart. Sit in silence. Slow down. Breathe. Trust the process. And wait for your flower to bloom. Because when it does, it will be more beautiful than anything you ever rushed. Because sometimes the quietest seasons grow the strongest roots. And one day you'll bloom, beautifully and completely. If you found the story inspiring, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new story that motivates you and lifts your spirit. When summer ended, Leah packed her bags. Grandma hugged her tightly and whispered, "Remember, my little bee, wherever you go, take your garden with you." On the train back home, Leah looked out the window. The fields passed by, golden under the sun, and she realized how peaceful she felt. No rush, no pressure, just calm. When she reached the city, the noise greeted her again. Honking cars, ringing phones, endless notifications. But this time, Leah was different. She didn't let the noise enter her mind. She smiled and thought, "I'll water my peace every day, no matter where I am." The next morning, before opening her books, Leah sat by her window. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and whispered, "Good morning, garden." Her mom peeked in, surprised. "You seem calm these days," she said. Leah smiled. "I think Grandma gave me the best lesson I've ever learned." Now, when exams came, she still studied hard, but she didn't panic. When she didn't get full marks, she didn't cry. Instead, she told herself, "Flowers don't bloom every day. Some days are for roots." Slowly, her friends noticed the change. "Leah, how do you stay so peaceful even during stress?" one asked. Leah smiled gently and said, "Because I stopped treating life like a race. I started treating it like a garden." That evening, she placed a small flower pot on her study table, a bright yellow marigold. Every day she watered it, just like Grandma taught her. And every time she saw it bloom, she remembered, growth isn't about speed, it's about care. Months later, Leah visited Grandma again. The garden had grown. More flowers, more color, more life. Grandma looked at her and said, "See what happens when you give time to things you love?" Leah nodded. "Yes, Grandma. I see it. In your garden and in myself." Grandma smiled and held her hand. "Then you've truly learned to live, my child." Months passed. Leah was now in her final year of school. Her teacher still praised her. Her friends still admired her. But this time, her heart was calm. She had learned to balance work with rest, silence with effort. But life has its way of testing even the calmest souls. One afternoon, the results for the National Scholarship exam were announced. The one Leah had worked so hard for. Her name wasn't on the list. For a moment, her world stopped. All that effort, all those nights, gone. Tears filled her eyes. Her friends celebrated their success, and she quietly walked home, her heart heavy. That evening, she sat by her marigold plant. Its petals were slightly wilted from the summer heat. She stared at it for a long time, then whispered, "You're tired too, huh?" She touched the dry soil, added some water, and sat in silence. Then, like a gentle whisper in her mind, she heard Grandma's voice. "Some days are for roots." Leah closed her eyes and smiled faintly. Maybe today isn't about winning, she thought. Maybe it's about watering myself again. The next morning, instead of giving up, she wrote in her journal, "I will not rush. I will not compare. I will grow again." She studied, but this time with peace, not panic. She helped her friends prepare for their next exams. She started drawing again, something she hadn't done in years. Slowly, her joy returned, not from success, but from doing things she loved. Weeks later, she got a letter in the mail. It was from a local art competition she had entered on a whim. She had won first place. She laughed and ran to her mom. "Mom, I didn't even expect this." Her mom smiled softly. "That's the beauty of life, Leah. When you stop chasing, it comes to you." That evening, Leah sat by her window with her blooming marigold. The sunset painted the sky gold and pink. She whispered, "Thank you, Grandma. Thank you for teaching me that growth is not about speed, but about faith." She looked at the marigold and said, "You and I, we both made it through the storm." Years went by. Leah was no longer the 17-year-old who once measured her worth in grades and trophies. She had grown, quietly, patiently, beautifully. She was now a young teacher at a small school in the city. Her classroom walls weren't covered with charts of ranks or competition lists. Instead, there were drawings, plants, and a quote on the board that read, Grow, don't rush. Every morning before class, she would water a small flower pot on her desk. Her students often asked, Miss Leah, why do you water that same plant every day? She would smile and say, because it reminds me that learning takes time, just like growing. Some of her students struggled just like she once did. They felt pressure, fear, comparison. Whenever they felt low, Leah would tell them the same thing her grandma told her. Life is not a race, it's a garden. And one day, during a school event, Leah shared her story. She told everyone about the summer at her grandma's house, about the garden, the flowers, the silence, and the peace she found within herself. As she spoke, the room grew quiet. Even the restless students sat still, listening closely. She ended with these words, the world will tell you to move faster, do more, be first. But sometimes, the best thing you can do is slow down and nurture your soul. Your garden will bloom. Just give it time. When the speech ended, her students clapped. Some even had tears in their eyes. That evening, as Leah walked home, she felt a soft breeze touch her face. It reminded her of her grandma's garden, the sound of birds, the smell of wet soil, and her grandmother's voice saying, My little bee, you've flown home. Leah looked up at the sky and whispered, Yes, Grandma, I'm home, and I'm still growing, in the garden within. The next morning, she placed a small flower in her classroom window. It wasn't just decoration, it was a reminder that growth is quiet, that peace is patient, that love, like flowers, needs time. And every time a student felt lost, Leah would point to the flower and say, See that? That's you. Keep watering your heart, and one day, you'll bloom beautifully. Cherry blossom moral of the story. In a world that runs on speed, choose patience. In a world that values results, choose growth. And in every season of your life, remember to water your inner garden.